You mentioned, your relationship with Paul Deister. It seems like the current supervisor is trying to combine forces, i.e. assessments with Niagara Falls and stuff like that. So it doesn't sound like you're in favor with that combination, but are there other places, not just promotion-wise, but services that can either be tapped into the county or the village or surrounding town or something along those lines that you've thought of, ideas where you can share resources?
Well, I'd like to point out, and you can believe me or not, but merging with the village or exploring that in the editorial that you printed, that I wrote, was the first thing that came up. Now, there was a Wilson Town Board meeting the very next night after you ran my editorial. And then, apparently, I couldn't make it, I was working, but apparently one of these citizens brought it up. And now he's talking about doing it. So, it's just politics. And he's a good guy. I mean, but this is how it happened.
Sure.
You think a village merger would work with the village being in favor of that? Or?
Well, these are things where you sit down and talk. You don't get anywhere until you start talking about it. And I can't say I know Mayor Bateman very well. I do know him. I've been at small village meetings on occasion. And yeah, you just, when you work together and you listen to the other person, you explore concerns. I sit on the board of directors of Planned Parenthood, and we just merged with Buffalo, and it was a huge process to pull that off. And when you respect each other, and I respect people irregardless of party affiliation, sit down with the village trustees, say, you know what, we could save money if we do X, Y, and Z. If you can't have a full merger, then you could share services, possibly. But these are all things that, and I purposefully not made any promises on that. These are all things that I think nobody else thought of before I did. And that's the way my brain works. And that's what the people of Wilson would get if they voted me in.
You say you're close with Paul Deister. Does that lead to some thoughts about Greenway money for Wilson?
I'm actually on the Citizens Advisory Board. Paul's the chair. And that's an issue that's definitely come up. And I mean, that's how the Power Coalition effectively blew it up with dynamite. The whole Greenway is not going to happen. That's the opinion of us insiders. We wanted a river corridor to be the Greenway, but now that money's just going to be spread across the county. It's going to pay for basketball courts, tennis courts, dog parks. I mean, it's going to be, now it's just a big pork barrel. It's just, the Power Coalition looks upon it as just another $3 million a year that they can, that they can lather upon the town of Royalton or Barker or, it's a shame because we could have had something with this Greenway, but it's not going to happen in my opinion.
It's unfortunate.
Oh yeah, it's a tragedy, but this Western New York is just not San Francisco.
Right. Let's see. Your opponent mentioned the Wilson Business Association. I guess I'm just not familiar. Do you work at this? Or you own your business, or so it's your own place, or are you in Wilson? Are you part of the business association?
No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
How it's working? I mean, obviously we heard it's great from him. I don't know if it's like to get your opinion on whether or not the Wilson Business Association is successful or
I think
needed. Obviously it seems it's probably needed, but.
Oh, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Okay. So it seems to be working out well, I guess. And then also, we asked him about the time put on the job, because obviously you guys are full-time employees at he works for the Sheriff's Department, you have the massage therapy. What are the hours residents, voters can expect you to keep, if you're a supervisor?
I would say pretty near every afternoon and every evening.
Okay.
I've known previous supervisors like Jerry Dean, and I realize even though on the books it's a part-time job, it turns into a full-time job.
Yeah. How are finances in the town, at least in your opinion? Are things better post Jerry Dean, or are they still? I know they were running into some trouble right when he left, or during his last term, I think. Are things back on track budget-wise? they good, you know, the town good financial standing, I guess?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would say
okay,
so.
okay.
So when people vote for you, what kinds of big changes would you envision from what's happening now?
I'm really, maybe this is, I look more to the long term, Karen. I think 10, 20 years down the road, when they built that sewage treatment plant right there at the mouth of Wilson Harbor, that was not thinking 10, 20 years down the road. I want people to know that I'm sitting up there and I'm looking out for their interests. And I will listen to them and I will weigh their input and I will make decisions based on what's good for Wilson, not what's good for the.
Right.
So I don't think anything immediate. I don't think people are gonna see any immediate changes, except that, like I say, my first week in office, Governor Spitzer is gonna have to deliver for Wilson, because Republicans outnumber Democrats 3-2 in Wilson. So I will be on probation from day one. I'm gonna have to make people realize I'm working hard to advance the interests of this town. And, like I said, I'll contact the governor on the waterfront, I'll contact him on various issues, my interface with other area politicians that represent Wilson. I'll basically work hard and take advantage of the opportunity, because, how often, if you read the Buffalo News today, how often does somebody who's avowedly an environmentalist get elected to office these days? That doesn't happen very often.
Right.
And so I would have to shine, and I would work hard to make people realize that you can take a chance, you can unelect an incumbent and put somebody in there who's never held public office before and have good things happen, or at least move in the direction of having good things happen.
Right. What was it that ultimately drove you from, private sector to want to seek public office? What was the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess? Was it the assessments? Was it more than that?
Good question, Tim. You know why? Because I can answer it very, very straightforward manner. I think it was about 6 years ago. 6 years ago, Senator George Maziarz ran unopposed. And I couldn't believe that. And I don't think there were other people that couldn't believe the Democratic Party in this county could not muster a candidate. A single candidate, somebody to stand like a Chris Schrock, say, I'll run.
Right.
I don't think anybody should ever run unopposed, period, ever.
Sure.
So, and then I think about a year ago, I started getting the sense that Mr. Jastrzemski, he was such a breath of fresh air. I like Mr. Dean, but I think Mr. Jastrzemski was far more competent at the job.
Sure.
And I think most everybody else felt the same way at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this guy's gonna run unopposed, and I'm not gonna let that happen.
Yeah.
So I've been in politics for many years.
Right, sure.
And I started asking whether it was feasible for me to make a run for the job. And the answer was sure, give it a shot.
Right. So you giving it a shot just to be the one, or are you seriously interested in doing this? Are you just want to be that guy so he's not unopposed, or?
Oh no, I want the job.
Okay.
I wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah. Because I can understand where you're coming from. None of us want someone running, like a Maziarz situation just by themselves. But you also want somebody who really wants it and is dedicated and stuff like that. It sounds like that's where you're at. So, okay, good.
I've actually, I should let you know, I have ran for the school board twice.
Oh, really? Okay. Gotcha. How did those go?
I know I didn't win, but I never bothered to see what the numbers were.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I think people probably obviously know your name from writing in the paper and stuff like that around town, and some people, I'm sure they're aware whether or not you've served publicly or not. I'm sure they're aware of who you are. Okay. Anything else from you guys?
Okay.
No? All right, that's it.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Thank
Thanks
you
for coming down.